Hey everyone, welcome to Infill Lot Recon. My name is Mike Marshall with WholesaleLandDepot.com. For more than a decade, I've been helping investors learn how to avoid the landmines and capitalize on the opportunities that exist with vacant infill lots. If you are or have a goal of becoming an infill lot investor, you're in the right place. So before I get to today's topic, I wanted to remind you guys about the whole point of this whole due diligence process that we're going through. And the whole point is discover the history of the lot in question. You want to know what is the story on that lot. It's like you're a private investigator trying to dig up all the history on this thing, trying to figure out why it is in this condition right now. Why is it that there's this vacant lot sitting in between two houses that has never been built on? So you're really trying to figure out what's going on here. What is it about the history that's prevented it from reaching its full potential? That's what you're trying to do. But you got to look in all the right places. And here's a little analogy for you. Say if you have a deck of cards and you're trying to find, the ace of spades in that deck. Well, you have 52 cards that you may have to turn over, but you got to turn over every one of them in order to figure out what the full story is. And maybe sometimes you'll find that problem or that ace of spades in the 15th card, or sometimes it's in the 52nd card. But either way, you got to prepare yourself to turn over all those cards. Same thing here. You got to go and look in all these different places. In this instance, your cards aren't in one pile. They're all in these different places. But if you know where to look, you're going to find out what the story is and why the lot is sitting the way that it is right now today. Hopefully, you're going to find lots that are just been owned by a neighboring property owner or somebody else that was looking to build. There was no restrictions on the property. It was all set to go, but for some reason the person just decided not to do it and they just forgot about it and they've been holding on to it for years. That's the situation you're looking for. And what you need to do is go through this whole process of elimination by going through all these things that we talk about on these podcasts or on these shows to be able to get an idea of what you're actually dealing with. So, with that, I'm going to jump into today's topic. Today I'm going to talk about tract map restrictions, or what's sometimes referred to as restricted use areas. As always, I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 takeaways that I want you to leave with so you have something of value walking away from this and you can actually go out and implement it in your investing. So with that, takeaway number 1. In the most basic sense, a tract map is a map of a recorded subdivision. I'll just talk about in California. In California, tract maps are maps with 5 or more lots on them. A parcel map is something that has 4 or fewer lots. So you'll hear those terms referred to throughout subdivision language and things like that, specifically in California. But again, tract map is a larger subdivision, whereas a parcel map is a smaller subdivision. And the inference really is that, you have a different process with a parcel map. A parcel map is much more streamlined and there's much less involved in the actual, what needs to show up on the face of the final map. But either instance, say a tract map, it shows all of the lots, streets, and then also restricted use areas. And so that begs the question, what in the world is a restricted use area, right? Well, a restricted use area is an area on a tract map where the use of that area is limited or restricted in some manner. So this mostly includes things like, like geological hazards or landslides, fault zones, or even open space lots. A lot of subdivisions are recorded with required open space areas to be in place as part of some sort of overall open space preservation program that the local jurisdiction has. Or maybe it's an HOA lot, for example. So sometimes those restrictions should show up actually on the face of the recorded tract map. And so what does it usually imply? Well, the thing that you're not wanting to find is you're not wanting to find a restricted use area that restricts the construction of any structures. So what you may see is something that says you can't build any structures at all. You may see something that says you can't build any habitable structures. So that gives you some idea of some things that you may be able to build. But if you're in the middle of a residential subdivision and it tells you that you can't build habitable structures, well, then you're kind of hosed. It's like, what are you going to do with that parcel anyway? One thing I want to mention too is that when looking at the tract map, be sure to look at the notes section on the map. Every restriction and every easement has to be noted on the face of the tract map. And in the notes section, you want to look at through all the notes and see if any of those notes actually refer to your lot number, your lot in question. So if you have lot number 52, for example, you want to look in the notes section and see if lot 52 is referenced anywhere in those notes. And hopefully it isn't, because if it isn't, that means that you're in good shape. If there are restrictions placed on there, then you need to know what that restriction actually is. And so sometimes there may be like a slope easement or something that's included, and maybe you can't build on a portion of the lot, but you can build on the majority of the lot, in which case you might be in good shape just the same. So my 4 takeaways here for you are, in the most basic sense, a tract map is a map of a recorded subdivision. Number 2, a restricted use area is an area on the tract map where the use of that area is limited or restricted in some way. Number 3, examples of restricted use areas include open space lots or geological hazard areas. Think of landslides, etc. Number 4, when looking at the tract map, be sure to look at the notes section and see if your lot number is mentioned anywhere in the notes. It's really, really important. And bonus tip for you here, try your best to work in jurisdictions that have online access to recorded tract maps. It's going to save you a massive amount of time. I know in Los Angeles County, for example, you can access those tract maps online rather easily. You want to be able to work in jurisdictions that have that same or similar type of access. Again, it's going to save you a massive amount of time. Without having online access to this, being able to do this piece of the due diligence process is going to be really difficult. So this is kind of a tip when you're going in at the beginning. I'm trying to decide which market you're looking at. Maybe do yourself a favor and try to find something that has one of these online access portals for recorded tract maps. All right, so with that, that'll do it for this episode of Infill Lot Recon. Check out the next episode where we'll talk more about infill lot due diligence that's going to help you avoid the landmines and take advantage of the opportunities found with infill lot investing. If you have any comments or questions, or if you're interested in my consulting services, go ahead and email me at info@wholesalelanddepot.com. As always, you'll find us on YouTube or on our website, wholesalelanddepot.com. See you next time. Thanks.